From LALATE News Headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Mornings LALATE.
Good morning, everybody. It's Mornings LALATE, and big news about your fourth stimulus check, that monthly stimulus check. That could be the single biggest payout you've ever seen in the history of this channel. Overnight, one of the leading financial news channels has now put the coverage of this channel and its subject front page news, now covering fourth stimulus for its readers. The coverage is the same that you're hearing on this channel. The Senate approach to give you monthly stimulus checks, the House approach to give you monthly stimulus checks, and how quickly they could be done and why it needs to get done. This is incredible, great news because finally it's becoming a front page story. In this recording, we'll go over the latest detail and why this incredible push to get fourth stimulus out the door is really heating up. The details started as that news site suddenly made it the #1 story last night. And it remains this morning the #1 most searched story on that major financial news channel. Your fourth stimulus monthly stimulus checks. Added to it is the big news today that it would lift 6.6 million Americans out of poverty from the Urban Brookings Institute. In this recording, I'm going to go over what's happening next week, how there's a series of major new corporate earnings coming in next week, and one of them could signal how fast this economy is growing. At this point, we know that growth's happening, and we know that growth is at issue for fourth stimulus. So how quickly are we rebounding? I'll go over those new corporate earnings that are coming next week and the predictions. Also, we'll look back at what happened last week for the CPI, the unemployment numbers, and other corporate reports that showed major growth is happening across this economy. I'll analyze in the context of fourth stimulus, and I'll also go over what's happening with that incredible $6,000 stimulus standalone bill. And what about how this impacts SSI, SSDI, Social Security, and railroad benefits? It's a big morning. The toast is toasted, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here, and let's get to it. This is Mornings LALATE. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing. And I see Wendy and Sylvia and Colleen and Jesse and Lisa and Ann Mudrudder and Crystal and Bonita in the room. How are you? It's a big Saturday morning. If you had just watched the wonderful, wonderful ceremony to honor the late Prince Philip, oh my goodness, it was just spectacular. So I hope you caught that before joining me this morning. Thank you for joining me on Saturday morning. I have big news across the board about your fourth stimulus and about those standalone items. How are you? If you've not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino, VIP. What a week we have had and what a week we have happening across the board. We're starting this morning with one of the largest financial news channels now running fourth stimulus as its lead story, covering the monthly stimulus checks that the House members want to give you and the monthly stimulus checks that the Senate members want to give you. And it remains now the #1 most searched story on that channel. I'm not bringing that up as a pat on the back. I'm giving it as a applause to you. You viewers this channel, Purple Power, the community of this channel, you have done an incredible job and you have once again reached another milestone. You have pushed fourth stimulus to the front of broadcast news. A few weeks ago, no one was covering fourth stimulus except me, and I was covering it day in, day out, hour after hour. And suddenly, it's now paid off with your pushing. It is now a #1 news story on that major financial news channel, and it remains front page news and the #1 most searched story. It's amplified with a new report that says that fourth stimulus would raise 6.6 million people out of poverty. Incredible, great news. What the report goes over is exactly what you and I have been discussing. And there's a major new twist today about that reporting you're hearing just this morning. A new report says that House member Omar has quietly become a very good friend to Speaker Pelosi over the last year, and they keep their friendship very quiet. Why is this big for forced stimulus? Yes, you know why. Because Representative Omar is among the 100 plus Democratic House members, not senators, House members, who have written and have vocalized that they're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the bill. Wow. Now, this is huge. This is huge because ultimately there's two paths to getting this done. First, let's go over broadly the two paths, and then we'll go over a little bit specifics of why this major twist today is all great news. First, there's two different approaches of whether you're a House member or a Senate member on giving stimulus checks. Let's look at the comparison across the board. First, the House members, including Representative Omar, want to give you a stimulus check for every month of the pandemic that we continue through, and then 1 year thereafter. So if the pandemic is 6 more months, then that would be 18 months of checks. The senators instead want to give you stimulus checks from now, when it becomes law, till December, about 6 months of checks. Who are these people? Well, the House members are more junior members like Omar. The senators are senior members of Congress. They are the movers and shakers. They are the inner core of the Democratic Party. The House members' checks differ slightly than the senators. House members like Omar have proposed $2,000 for the first month and $1,000 thereafter. The senators don't say their monthly amount, but word on the street is they want to give you this. Wow, this is huge. This is the single biggest payout that you will have seen ever in the history of this channel. Word on the street, it says the senators want to give you either $2,000 a month over 6 months, $12,000, or $1,400 a month over 6 months, $8,400. This is per individual. This is not the household. This is per individual. Who qualifies for these stimulus checks? Same people who qualify for the third stimulus check. So if you make less than $75,000, this is you. If you make less than $150,000 as a married couple, this is you. If you're on SSI or SSDI, Social Security or Railroad benefits, this is you. This is the biggest payout we have ever seen in this channel's history. Now, here's what's really fascinating, is that there's 100 plus Democrats that want to slide this in, and among them is Omar, who is now quietly, according to a new political report published this weekend, a top confidant of Speaker Pelosi. So will Speaker Pelosi put that in before it gets to the Senate, or will we just have to wait for the Senate vote-a-rama? And what is a vote-a-rama? Let me explain to you the details this morning. First, the president is not going to be writing the bill because he's not a legislator. He will provide proposals, and over the next few days, he will continue one more time to try to do what's a bipartisan effort on an item which he calls either the infrastructure bill or the Recovery Act or the jobs plan. Different names. I also call it forced stimulus. Different names, different days of the week. Ultimately, he's going to have to go by reconciliation because he has in there climate, and the Republicans say they're not doing climate. So the first step will be the tow truck. Speaker Pelosi will introduce to the House a bill that only talks about procedure. It says, we want to do a reconciliation. Doesn't have substance in it, just has procedure. House vote, pass. To the Senate, pass. To the president, signed into law. Tow truck is now gone over the finish line, past the finish line. Now time for step number 2. Tow truck goes back and gets ready to pick up the tow hitch. And at that tow hitch is where the excitement starts. Onto the tow hitch is put everything that the president has proposed. Remember, the president doesn't write the bill. He proposes things. So infrastructure, climate, all those items are put onto the tow hitch. At that point, Speaker Pelosi can add anything else that she wants to add on to the tow hitch. She can add in $25 billion to a foreign country. She can add in Representative Omar's proposal of $1,000 per month for pandemic plus 12 months or not. So let's analyze if she does put in Representative Omar and those other 100 Democrats' monthly stimulus checks for pandemic plus 1 year, and let's analyze it and compare it versus not putting it in there. If she puts it in there, call for a vote, pass, off to the Senate. Senate can modify it and shrink the number of months or increase the amount of the checks. If she doesn't put it in there, doesn't matter, call for a vote, House, passes from the House. Off to the Senate it goes. Now, this is what's important for you to understand is when the bill lands in the Senate, you may think that's when the senators start working on your stimulus checks. Oh, no, 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 no. One thing that I've tried to make clear in the last few days, but I think I want to make clear even today, is what a vote-a-rama is. A vote-a-rama is a very devilish, plotted out, prepared, almost covert, sort of, James Bond-ish event that senators have prepared weeks in advance with their inner circle. Let me explain how this works. The senators know months in advance or weeks in advance when that vote-a-rama is going to start. And so then they go to the computer and they start to write up what they want to add on to the bill as an amendment. When they got an idea, then they go to their friends and quietly, in private, without press, without you, without me, without Republicans, say, I want to do this thing. What do you want to do? I want to forgive. I want to have a provision that if the federal government forgives student loan debt, it's not a taxable event. What a great idea. Don't tell anyone about it. Who are you speaking to? Well, I've spoken to Elizabeth and Chuck's going to call it for a vote. Who else? They prepare who's going to vote for it. No one else tells anyone else because they don't want anyone to plot against it. And they plot the hour, the day, and how it's going to be called for a vote. It's very, very covert. And when they're ready to pounce, they pounce. It's not a random last second, oh, you know what? I got pen and paper. Let me make some changes here. No, this is very plotted out. So what's different here is that there's been a very loud vocalization about stimulus checks. But these senators are not telling you how and where and by what means they're going to do it because they're keeping it quiet to their chest and they're going to pounce during the reconciliation process. Bottom line is that if Nancy does not put in Omar's proposal, the senators will. If Nancy does put in Omar's provision, the senators may still modify it. Third, and this is what's something you're hearing only this morning on LALATE, is that under third stimulus, senators and House members often caucus privately and don't tell us and prepare for one chamber of Congress, the House, to put something in there so it's ready for when it comes to the Senate. And they don't tell you publicly what they're doing. They do things very quietly. And so that is among the exciting details for fourth stimulus. Let's go back to that big money for fourth stimulus now that we understand the process and we understand the money at issue. When we talk about this money at issue, this is the single biggest payout we will have ever seen in the history of this channel. And the number is somewhere here. I don't know. Well, we remember where it is. Oh, here it is. There it is. It moved. Sir Lloyd must have kicked it. Look at this money. If they did $2,000 a month, it would be $12,000 between just July and December. If it's $1,400 a month, it would be $8,400 between now and December. Here's what you need to know on the comparison of the House versus Senate numbers. The House members, 18 months at $1,000 a month, that's $18,000, but it takes 18 months to get it. Senators, for example, let's say they do $2,000 a month. $2,000 a month over 6 months is $12,000, but you get it in 6 months. Over the last few days, and certainly in this recording as well, which I see Bonnie and David and Lynn and Lisa and Colleen and Roy, the question is, would you rather get the $12,000 in 6 months or the $18,000 in 18 months? Would you rather get the faster or the slower? Viewers have so far always said they want the faster amount of money, even though it's a little bit less, because you're getting money on the com. Drop in the comments what you think. The Federal Reserve says Americans prefer the money faster because they only spend about 40% of any stimulus check. They invest and keep the rest of the money in the bank. So it makes sense to get the money on the com, keep it on the bank, because ultimately you make money over 18 months in getting that money in the bank. Meantime, next week, we have a series of new companies reporting earnings from Q1, and we look back in this recording to what happened this last week. This is what's important for you to know, folks. The economy's rebounding. The economy's booming. And we had always thought, we were told by the Federal Reserve, we were told by Janet Yellen, you had a Treasury, and you were told by the President, even told by me, that the economy will not be fully rebounded till next January. We now know that's not correct. We now know it's later this year. The question is when. Here's what you need to know to start the new morning, is no one knows how soon. The universal thing you saw last week, coming up late in this recording, is that the data showed analysts cannot predict how fast this economy is growing. And every single time they miscalculated the numbers. So what's happening next week? Let's look to next week first. On Monday, the excitement starts as Coca-Cola, United Airlines, and IBM report first quarter earnings. Jim Cramer says of Coca-Cola, I expect good numbers from them and a great story about food services reopening. What about United Airlines? I think it's the right place to be, says Cramer. I think you're going to hear about the coming boom. Oh boy, another big growth story there. And what about IBM? I think it's too early to tell, says Cramer, but the stock's hanging in there. That's on Monday. What about on Tuesday? On Tuesday, Johnson & Johnson, Procter & Gamble, and Netflix report corporate earnings. What about Johnson & Johnson? Cramer says, I bet Johnson & Johnson has a fantastic quarter and reveals an even better pipeline. Sounds like another growth story. Netflix. He says even the Netflix conference call has good context. And then the big one, probably the most important day you want to watch with me on this channel for corporate earnings this coming week to determine growth of this economy and its impact on your stimulus is Friday. Honeywell reports. Cramer says, I think the numbers can still go higher, but this is what Cramer says about American Express, folks. Listen to this about American Express. He says it's about credit, travel, and entertainment lines. We should be able to get a good read on the strength of the recovery going forward from the American Express earnings. Wow. There you go. He is making it very clear that the earnings report from American Express especially will be a very big gauge of how strong this economy is growing and how quickly we're growing, a company that's in everything from credit to travel and leisure. Meantime, what did last week's earnings reports tell us about growth and how it impacts your stimulus? And what about that $6,000 of stimulus still happening? I'll have all those details and more, and I'll answer some of more of your questions. Keep on dropping your questions. I'll be back in 60 seconds. But first, here's a little bit about the community page. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on Mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. and then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Mornings LA. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering, and the coffee is brewing. I'm here, you're here, and guess who will be here later as well? The excitement continues on LA all day long, and I hope you stay with me. You're currently watching Mornings LA. It's followed in 2 hours from now with Noontime. Our new programming schedule delivers you a new show every 2 hours. It's as simple as that. Just remember, every 2 hours is a new show. Noontime is in 2 hours from now. That's live. Followed by afternoons, LA's first show at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2 hours after that. And then 2 hours after that is another afternoon show. And then 2 hours after that, evenings LA. Finally, at late night, LA Late Night, our new comedy hour is 2 hours after that at 10 o'clock. Thank you for joining me on a Big Mornings LA. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video, and if you've not become a member, consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Casino VIP. And thank you for the new members who joined overnight as well. What a big week it was. And what this week says to us going forward is that no one can predict how quickly this economy is rebounding. Here's what you need to know. Wall Street employs analysts who they pay 6-7-figure salaries to predict and estimate where things are going. And last week, every analyst got everything wrong. The universal situation that reoccurred every day was Wall Street analysts underestimated the growth of the economy, whether it was unemployment numbers coming in lower, corporate earnings coming in higher, or corporate economic numbers coming in. Each day, Wall Street analysts got it wrong. And just continue throughout the week. Here is a look back at what happened last week and why it was consistently undervalued on how quickly this economy is booming for purposes of stimulus. First, the CPI, Consumer Price Index number, came in, and it was the highest number year to date since August of 2018. That started the excitement early in the week. Then the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, and Amazon, among others, started to surge. Coinbase had one of the most successful IPOs of the year. And then we started rolling into the surprising earnings reports. Wells Fargo's kicked it off. Wells Fargo reported Q1 2021 earnings, first quarter 2021 earnings. And the projection was 0.70. Wow, folks, look at this number. It beat the number, nearly doubling it, 1.05 a share. Wall Street expecting it to be nearly half of that number. Now, what's important for you to understand is when I refer to quarter one, I'm referring to the first 3 months of this year. As of the first 3 months of this year only, the $600 stimulus check, the second stimulus check, had floated into the economy. The third stimulus check had not landed. And in many cases, a lot of these businesses are not dependent upon or impacted by a stimulus check. But look at what else happened this last week. Oh my goodness. Goldman Sachs, Wall Street estimated earnings to come in at $10 a share. It came in nearly double that. They're expecting a big blowout report. It did blow out, but they still underestimated it 50%. Insane. And then came Thursday. OMG. The most important number to gauge the rebound of this economy is unemployment and jobs. And look what happened on Thursday. The unemployment numbers came in at 576,000 new unemployment claims, the lowest number of new weekly claims since March of 2020. If you've been with me for 40 weeks, folks, boy, every week has been 1,800,000, 900,000. To think we're at 576, it's incredible. And the excitement didn't end there, as the continuing unemployment claims dropped 1 million in 1 week to 16.9 million. How fast will next week be? We really don't know, but this is incredible growth. States like California, Virginia, Texas, Ohio, and others showed incredible drops across the board. And then the retail sales, as if we couldn't get any better. Retail sales, look at this. Now, this is impacted by your $600 second stimulus check. When you had that in a few weeks ago, February retail sales dropped. But guess what happened in March? Boy, look at this number. Wall Street expecting a growth of retail sales by 6%. It came in at 10%. It's blowing out these numbers. And then the week continue with surges of crypto across the board, and then surges across the board for other items like the shocking details about tech across the board. Here's crypto, here's tech. It just continued. Here's what you need to know going into the morning. Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, the president, and Janet Yellen gauge your stimulus based upon the jobs and the unemployment rates. And they're booming. They're booming. But no one can predict how quickly they're rebounding. And with that inability to determine how quickly they're rebounding, you need the stimulus package in the Senate as soon as possible. Next week, the president will do a little bit more bipartisanship. But you want this bill to go into that Senate as soon as possible to do the vote-a-rama, because ultimately, every month that passes is a big issue for purposes of your stimulus. You want that stimulus to hit as quickly as soon as possible, because the biggest issue at hand is the word July. Look at this number. July is really the big issue. Congress goes on recess in the fall, and from July to September, they're barely in Washington. So you want this stimulus bill done and signed and in the mail with some moolah in June, so that the bill starts paying out in July. You don't want this to sit around any longer. Meantime, there's a new video out from the president, and there's a new video out from Dr. Walensky. In the president's video, the president talks about home health care, and he also talks about the importance of paying hazard pay workers. As you know, I've been detailing hazard pay on this channel for 40-something weeks. I've made over 300 videos of hazard pay, and not one congressional leader has been able to deliver 1 penny for hazard pay. In this video, the president talks about the importance of providing hazard pay to people. It'd just be nice if he actually did it. Let's listen into that new video from the White House and drop in your comments what you think about watching this video. I'd love to see your reaction.
Sir, I can hear you.
How'd you first get involved in home care?
Caregiving for me is a calling. I started caring in nursing homes, then transitioned to in-home caregiving. I say to folks, I'm not giving up on you. I'm here for the long haul. I'll be here for you when you're sick. When the pandemic hit, my hours were cut, so was my pay. Caregivers do not have the luxury or privilege of working remotely. I feel people undervalue caregivers in our society. That's why I'm glad President Biden is talking about caregiving and talking about caregivers like me.
Well, you know, Susie, I kind of understand that. My mom got sick, got hospice and help. And what it made me realize was, how about those people who don't have family? What are the biggest problems you face?
Caregiving is a 24/7 job. You have to work holidays. You have to work weekends. You have to work Mother's Day, Father's Day. It takes a lot out of you. And I think so many folks work so many hours is because they're not getting the pay they deserve. We need to get people to want to do this kind of work. And by them not having any benefits, who wants to do a job like that? The pay, the medical, sick leave, we need to take care of ourselves, because as caregivers, we tend to neglect ourselves because we're doing so much care, because we're caring for others.
That's why we're going to make sure that in this caregiver legislation I have, you'll be in a position to get wages and benefits for the job you do. I appreciate what you've done. People like you should be rewarded adequately for what you do. You're an essential part of whether or not people can live full lives. So thank you so much. Stay healthy.
It's an honor, sir. It was an honor.
I wish I could see you in person, give you a hug, and tell your wife I said hello. I hope I'm not slowing up dinner.
It was an honor, sir.
What are your opinions about the video? I'd love to hear your opinions about the video. During that video, a lot of people are asking great questions about other items under stimulus, but not much reaction. Do you like the video? Do you think the video serves no purpose? Why is he talking about hazard pay but hasn't paid hazard pay? Why is he talking about essential workers but hasn't paid essential workers? What is the purpose of the video? It just sounds like someone's, enamored by meeting the president. What is the president doing for essential workers in this video? I'm not particularly clear what the video was about and why it's being released, and I'm not quite particularly clear for a president who hasn't delivered essential workers hazard pay. Why is he talking about hazard pay? What do you think about the video? Do you like it? Do you not like the video? It's a lot of kisses. It's not content, said one person. Caregivers are not appreciated. I agree with that comment, but what do you think about the video? I'd love to see some of your comments. Let me jump into the live chat right now. Stage serves no purpose, says Duchess. Duchess says it serves no purpose. It's just a very staged video. Well, it is definitely staged. That is very true. It's all words, no actions. Yes. Thank you, Mike. Mike says it's all words, just actions. She should be getting hazard pay, says Double C. It's very scripted, says Brian. I'm a home health care worker. It's true. Anne Marie, absolutely. Why is he talking about hazard pay if you haven't done anything for hazard pay workers, says Phaedry. I think he needs to keep his word, says Jimmy. I'm not impressed, says Colleen. Gail, I used to be a care worker. Tabitha, LALATE, hello, LALATE. I'm a caregiver. I totally agree. It needs hazard pay. He just likes to be on TV, says someone. The president's trying to work on it, but I'm cautious about Biden because of his son, says Scott. Touching, says Jimmy. Not sure, says Christine. No check today, but I'm staying positive, says Jennifer. So it's a very interesting message. Tonight on Evenings LALATE, when you tune in tonight on Evenings LALATE, for the first time ever, you will see me get very opinionated. I will show you again that video, and I will give you my opinion. As someone who's recorded about 30 weeks of hazard pay, I think almost 200 to 300 videos of hazard pay, I have a strong opinion about the situation. Let's recap hazard pay as it is right now. In spring of last year, we learned that no Republican would ever propose hazard pay in any of the proposals, whether it was the HEALS Act or the skinny bill. To date, no Republican has ever proposed hazard pay. In May of 2020, Nancy Pelosi proposed hazard pay in the HEROES Act, $10,000 if you worked in the pandemic, $13 an hour. Mitt Romney was the rare exception for the Republicans. During the summer of 2020, he proposed a standalone bill for hazard pay. Thank you, Scott, for the dancing pair. Mitt Romney proposed a standalone bill for hazard pay. But by fall of 2020, everything fell by the wayside. If you remember around that time, there was one or two videos where I got very angry, where suddenly we saw hazard pay just sort of dissipating. And even Democrats were no longer supporting hazard pay in their proposed legislation. Thank you, Scott, for the dancing pair. Hazard pay next took its form in fall of 2020. During his transition papers, the President of the United States, after he was elected, wrote he was going to provide you hazard pay for private sector. He actually mentioned the word hazard pay. He mentioned the word essential workers, and he mentioned the industries he was going to pay. And if you recall, I even mentioned that he added teachers to the list, which were not often included in hazard pay. Said hazard pay, said essential workers, said they're going to get paid. When third stimulus came around in January of this year, I had that memo from the president of what was going to be in the third stimulus package. It said there was going to be private hazard pay. President did not deliver hazard pay in the third stimulus package, did not deliver any of the hazard pay that was in his fall 2020 transition papers. And today, we've heard nothing from Mitt Romney about his 2020 hazard pay bill, which is now expired, or from Nancy Pelosi about her hazard pay HEROES Act bill, which has now been expired. Really strange to see a video like this. Drop your comments. I'd love to see more of your comments. The question is not whether or not caregivers are wonderful. They are wonderful. The question is, why is there a video about hazard pay when it's not being provided? Coming up next is Noontime LALATE, and that'll be in 2 hours from now. If you have not subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And if you've not become a member, become a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, or Calcino VIP. Thank you for your great questions and comments. I'll interact with you more on the next video. And we'll go over what more to expect on those monthly stimulus checks. Also, I'll analyze that $6,000 that Ron Wyden wants to give you. Senator Ron Wyden wants to give you $6,000, pay $250 a month over 6 months if you're a PUA type employee. PUA goes away. Thank you, Scott. Scott asked, what about FPUC Retro? Not happening just yet, but Ron Wyden, who is the FPUC Retro guy, has instead proposed a solution for PUA, which is expiring late in September. $250 a week for 6 months for PUA viewers. Good, great, or needs to be done more? I'll have more about that at noontime, LALATE. Stay informed, stay focused. Make sure you subscribe. Hit that like button. Let's try to do 3,000 likes. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino on VIP. I'll see you in 2 hours, and have a beautiful morning.